Coming up on The Breakdown, we speak one-on-one with John Kirwan on what's wrong with the Blues and what he plans to do about it.
In difficult times, you've got to focus on what you can control.
We hear from the Chiefs in Cape Town before their first big match in South Africa.
We know it'll be a big part of their plan this week, and we're going to have to be pretty strong in that area.
And in the studio, he's played against the All Blacks and for the All Blacks. We're joined by 30-test veteran Alama Iramia.
Welcome to The Breakdown. We'll get to the big match of the weekend in a moment. Yes, a huge weekend of Super Rugby gone past. We'll get to discuss it, we'll debate it, we'll look at all things that have happened to prepare you for the rugby week ahead. Well, Anthony Bright, she rang me up and said, what another crack. Wanted to have another go. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, mate. Last chance.
And Peter Ralatini, he rang me a couple of weeks ago and said, I've got to get on this new show. I want to have a go at it. You're on a couple of times last year. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's been another fascinating weekend of Super Rugby. It's time now to get to the tight five and look at all of the highlights and recap what happened over the weekend.
Now, the Highlanders might have won the game, but you couldn't say they beat the Chiefs.
Smith in control. Again they turn. Again it's a penalty try.
And it wasn't just the missed goal kicks.
Just basic errors were poor tonight, and just basic handling and turning over too much pill. And this Highlanders side's a good side, and they just punished us. And yeah, disappointed to finish the game like that.
The Tars stopped the Reds. Well, Dave Dennis certainly stopped Lockie Turner. The final score of 23-5 to the Waratahs was a fib at first sight. It wasn't that the Tars were 18 points better.
And who wants it? Cleaned up there by Thompson.
It was more that the Reds were 18 points worse. More decisive was the Brumbies consolidating their spot at the top of the Aussie Conference at the expense of the Force. 3 tries in the first half, they secured the bonus point try early in the second. Now the Stormers are leading the whole competition, 4 wins from 4 after beating the Sharks. The Stormers and the Canes yet to lose a game in 2015 after the Cheetahs were beaten by Handré Pollard. Well, the rest of the Bulls did contribute, but Pollard distinguished himself, scoring every way possible in a game of rugby: penalties, conversions, a try,
Pollard goes over.
and a drop goal.
From young Handré Pollard is a good one.
Yes, there's been a lot of negativity after the Blues-Lions match, but there were plenty of positives in the game. The Lions' defence held them up, kept them out, took opportunities,
And de Klerk has a snipe.
and won the game.
Flanks the pass away. Combrick into the corner.
But no one's talking about that in Auckland. Everyone's talking about the Blues and their coach.
Yeah, it's been a difficult few days for the Blues. Of course, there it is. The Stormers, 4 from 4. The Brumbies, they've just had the one loss, close loss to the Chiefs. The Hurricanes, they're the only other undefeated team in the competition so far. So they take on the Blues this weekend. The Waratahs, the defending champions, there they are, sitting in the 5th spot. And there is the bottom of the table, the Crusaders and Blues. Not often you're going to say that too often about these two teams. Of course, the Crusaders with a game in hand. And all of these teams, there's not too much in it at this early stage. Let's have a look at the New Zealand Conference and how things sit there. And the Chiefs, after that strong start, the Hurricanes as well. The Blues, however, they're already 10 points adrift of second place. And thinking about how difficult it is to get 3 teams into playoffs, their predicament is a little bit tough at the moment. And actually, we decided we'd go out to team training today. We went out to Blues HQ. We sent Scotty Stevenson to catch up with Sir John Kirwan, who was the coach under fire.
So, John, a tough couple of weeks for the club and for you personally. You've been singled out. They've come after you. How do you respond to the criticism in the marketplace?
Look, I understand it. I think that our fans, are really important to us and are frustrated, and, rightly so. The reality is a little bit different. If you come in behind the scenes, the guys are working incredibly hard. We're travelling in the right direction. This club has completely changed, especially in the last 12 months, but especially since I've been back. So there's a lot of real positives that people don't see. People want results, so I understand that if we're not getting them, then people get frustrated, and understand that and accept it.
You've been around a long time as a player, as a coach. If you had to think about what is missing at the moment, is it something you can put your hand on? Is it something tangible?
I think that there is a very small percentage between a winning culture and a losing culture. And it's 5%. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and sometimes you need a little bit of the rub of the green, just to get over that hump. And sometimes you just got to grind out an ugly win. So it's tangible and not tangible. I think that, you know, the reality of the other night against the Lions was we totally dominated the football game, and they scored a try against the run of play. What is going through our heads, and how are we coping with those moments? A winning culture goes, yep, been here before, what do we do? Let's go down and do it. Sometimes what we're doing as a club is we're trying too hard to get ourselves out of the sticky situation we're in, and it multiplies. So, you know, it's 5% difference, and you know, we need a good performance and a good result to give us the confidence that, yeah, actually this is working, and this is what we should be doing, and it reconfirms everything, and then you take off.
So John, the board's come out, supported you very publicly. Now the players have come out and supported you publicly. What does that mean to you as a person, as a coach, to know that you have their support?
Yeah, I mean, it means that, you know, I believe in them, and they believe in me, and they believe in the direction we're taking. And that's fantastic. And I've got their back, and they've got mine, and that's what we need to do. And when times are tough, and it's tough. I mean, you know, I lie awake at night when we lose and feel physically sick the next day. But then what do you do about it? Do I worry about losing my job, criticism, or do I focus on the positives in the club, the leadership group that's really driving what we're doing, and delivering a game plan that's going to get us out against the Hurricanes and help us turn this round? So I think in difficult times you've got to focus on what you can control. So I cannot control anything else but delivering to them what they need to be successful.
This place has been through a lot of coaches, but the reality is you're 0-4 this season. Doesn't look great. So the question is, are you the right man for this job?
I'd say you probably would have been here saying the same thing to Pat, and you probably would have been saying the same thing to Nucifora and Smith, who's now doing a great job with Ireland. So we just need to be patient. You know, you don't turn things around overnight. We want better results than what we're getting. But if the club is convinced that I'm doing the right job, and the players believe in what we're doing and we're heading in the right direction, then you just need to be a lot more patient around saying get rid of the coach, because that's the easy option, and it hasn't worked for us over the last 13 years, so maybe it's been the wrong option.
Okay, but what happens if it doesn't turn around? Is there a re-evaluation that you will have to go through as a coach?
Yeah, that happens all the time. I mean, I don't know what happens in your job, Sumo, but I get analysed, I get judged, I get, you know, the players will have mid-term review on the whole organisation, what we're doing. And I believe in that process. So the New Zealand Rugby Union will review me, and the you know, the Blues themselves will review me both mid-season at the end of the season. So they'll know the answers. And I've always said if I'm not the right man for the job, then I'm happy to move on. But I'm convinced that we're heading in the right direction. We've got a group of men here that want to turn this thing completely round. And so I'm confident that we'll get through it. I'm confident that you know, the team will start winning consistently.
It was great that JK was prepared to give us his time. When you're under fire as a coach, some of the things, the dangerous things you can do is go into your shell. It's out there. He knows the pressures he are under. In your opinion, AB, though, is there a critical point for John Kirwan as the head coach of this Blues team where they have to, I suppose, get over the hump? They need to find a way to win a game. And when is that? And is it recoverable right now?
I think it's straight away, you know, in terms of winning a game. It's this weekend against the Hurricanes. Moving forward, you know, you spoke about that mid-season review period. You know, that's going to be a time, I think, 3-4 games away. They've got a lot of tough games from now until then. So
who are they?
What is it? Brumbies.
Waratahs.
Yeah, Waratahs and the Chiefs as well. As well. So
it's not getting any easier. So you know, it's a real uphill battle. But you know, I'm a believer. Still, there's probably not many out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the environment, there's talk about that, but if you go to their training and you see how hard they're working, and their senior players fronted today with the media and are well and truly behind their coach, it seems as though on the surface everything is okay. So he talks about them working hard. Does it look to you as though they've got the players, they've got the talent?
For sure, they have got the talent, they've got the players, definitely. It's just a matter of now, I mean, JK's saying all the right things and he's putting across to us that, you know, they are tight and stuff, but at the end of the day, like he said as well, the results is what people want and their fans, and once they get that, I'm sure everyone will jump back in.
Well, they're one of those teams, and he talked about it, they've been very, very close to getting the results they need, and the last two games they could quite easily have beaten the Cheetahs, but there are opportunities, Arlo, that they're actually missing, aren't there?
Definitely. I mean, look here, there's definitely space on the outside here, whether the communication is wrong, the alignment, but, you know, we need to get that ball out to space, and that time Putel taking it through, taking contact instead of getting it out.
It seems in a lot of cases as well, they've already pre-called the option. When you see here, the wingers drop back, they've got a 2 on none on the outside, a simple missed 3 pass to the space. That's the responsibility of the players, isn't it, to make those calls?
Definitely. I mean, looking space in front, I mean, the guys from the outside, I'll be challenging their communication to come through.
And then when you see this, AB, you see an opportunity as a forward. Surely you're waiting, you don't wait for the defence to get set. You attack and you attack quickly.
You just pick and go, and you got Famuina in behind, you know, propelling him forward, and that, you know, that was a real try-scoring opportunity. But they obviously gave the defence time to get settled, and you know, it was too late by then.
And are those times as well that you're worried about making mistakes? Here's another opportunity they've missed here, and this is simple alignment. They've got 2 on the outside. Yes, it's Kevin Mialamu on the fringes, but we've seen him out there. All of a sudden, the player gets too flat. There's space to be moved on the outside. And this has all happened in the first half of this game. So if you analyse their game, they're actually getting themselves into the right spots. They are creating some sort of space. But what they're not able to do is find that space. And that's got to come from the outsides. Well, that's the Blues. They've got some things to work on. Their coach is working hard. The players are working hard. It'll be interesting to see what results they can get this weekend when they go to Palmerston North and they take on the Hurricanes. Well, it's our pleasure to welcome onto the show Clark Laidlaw, the assistant coach of the Hurricanes. And Clark, mate, great to have you with us. I want you pretty simply to wrap it up. How have you started 3-0? What have you done? What have you changed?
Oh, good evening, fellas. We've tweaked a few things, obviously, in our game, but we had a good pre-season. The boys were fit. You know, we done a bit more running in pre-season with a lot of ball work, which got us off to a good start. And we had a week-long camp up in Gizzy again, which was really good. We got our All Blacks back, and we had a week-long camp up there, which set us in good stead for heading off to Africa.
Clark, Peter here. I just wanted to, I was talking to Alama at the back. He's mentioned that the line attack this year looks a bit scratchy. I'm giving you the right to reply.
He was the attack coach, don't forget, last year, and he's looking at it and saying, you're not quite as sharp. What's your retort? How do you come back at him?
Yeah, we're slowly phasing out the players from last season, so hopefully next we can turn the corner.
Clark, Anthony here. You must be happy with the way that the tight five's gone. They seem to be playing with a bit more physicality than perhaps in previous years.
Yeah, we're really happy with the way the whole forward pack are playing, and I think you're probably seeing, you know, a lot of these players starting to mature at the same time. You know, your Reg Goodies, your Brad Shields, Ardy Xavier, Blade Thompson, and so on. So yeah, we're really happy the way they've started, and hopefully that can continue for the next block of games.
Nehe Milner-Skudder has been selected to play and start at fullback. Goes back to Palmerston North. Manawatuba, he's played a lot of his rugby. I mean, what do you like about this young man? A lot of comparisons to a young Christian Cullen. How do you see his game?
Yeah, he's obviously an outstanding talent, and he picked up a little injury in pre-season, so he missed his opportunity at the start of the year. So, you know, he's a great runner. He's got great footwork, but his ability to read the defence, but also organise our short side attack is a real strength for us. So we're excited about giving him a crack this week and see what he can do at the next level.
What about preparing for the Blues? I'm sure you've watched their game with great interest in the way that they've played. You've got to be pretty confident, though. They're not on top of their game. Do you see them as being vulnerable, or do you see them as being dangerous?
Oh, we're not naive enough to think we can just rock up this week and turn in a performance. You know, we were very similar last season where we lost our first 3 games, and we'd actually lost 4 of our first 5 games and went down to the Crusaders and sort of turned our season around on that. So, you know, we're well aware of the threat. got a powerful midfield. They've got good ball runners and a good offloading and tipping game that we're going to have to be on the mark with our defence on that. So yeah, we've prepared well. We've had a good 3 days. We're up in Palmy now, and we had a good training run up here today. So yeah, we just recover, relax for the next day or so, and get ready for Friday.
Thanks very much, Clark. Good luck on the weekend. Go well, and mate, we're sure things are going to go well. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's great to get some feedback about where they're at. They're obviously going really, really well. Let's move on to the Chiefs. I asked the question last week. I asked the question whether the Highlanders could elevate their game, go into Hamilton and get a result. And they did. They did. Was this more about the Chiefs or more about the Highlanders in your mind?
I think, listening to Dave Rennie at half-time, he wasn't happy with the intensity. Last week we spoke about they needed to bring the same intensity again this weekend, and I think they started with it, but it perhaps wasn't quite there. And I think, the Highlanders, you've got to give credit to the way they defended. There's some huge plays, some turnovers that you could really see the momentum shift midway through that match, and I think it's the Chiefs will be pretty angry at themselves, but you've got to give a lot of credit to the way the Highlanders battled away.
There was one part for me that was very, very interesting, though. They left a lot of points out there, the Chiefs. They didn't kick their goals. Aaron Cruden had an off night, and interestingly enough, he made the decision to give the tee away to Andrew Horrell. So is that concerning, if you're a coach, or two, if you're an All Black fan?
Yeah, it must be concerning, because obviously one of the big talks last year was the goal kicking between him and Beauden Barrett at the end of the year tour. So it's definitely a concern, but I'm hoping that he'll be able to bounce back next weekend and get the chance again to have a crack.
No, I don't doubt he'll be putting in the work. Well, the Chiefs, they've travelled off to Cape Town in South Africa. We had an opportunity to hear from Dave Rennie. Here's his thoughts.
Yeah, there's no doubt if you can't win your scramble, you're under a little bit of pressure, especially because you're going to get penalised a lot and give up a bit of territory and so on. So if a lot of teams scrum for penalties, Brumbies have done a fair bit of it in the last couple of years. Maybe that was Jake's influence here. And certainly the way the refs are reffing, if you get a bit of dominance, you can scrum for penalties and get a bit of field position off that. So it's certainly an area that our boys are really focused on, and you see what the Stormers have done recently, especially to the Sharks last week. It's a real weapon for them. It's a chance for, if you can dominate there, it's a chance for to disrupt Pill at the source, and so we know it'll be a big part of their plan this week, and we're going to have to be pretty strong in that area. You look at the Highlanders last week, they got pumped at scrum time, still won the game, so it's not the be all and end all, but it's a big part of it.
You go to South Africa and you talk about scrums. That's pretty much it. Speaking of scrums, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to a former All Black prop, former Crusader prop. He's now the assistant coach of the Crusaders, one of the crew they've got down there. Dave Hewitt's with us. Dave, welcome on to the show. You've just had a bye week, but you're welcome back. Some real stars into your frame. Sam Whitelock returns. Kieran Reid's available. Nemani Ndolo. Is it like the band getting back together now?
Yeah, it is. Having everyone back on deck now has just put a bit of a spark into the team. Both Kieran and Sam have been training with us for quite a while, but just haven't been able to take the field. And it's fair to say that although they can train, they've been fairly annoying because they haven't been able to take the field to actually perform. So they're looking forward to getting back out there.
Dave, how frustrating was it after that Chiefs loss to head into the bye, have 2 weeks to sort of mull over it? You guys must be pretty excited to get back on the paddock.
It's one of those things that the bye, it was either a positive from the point of view that we could sort of just have a wee bit of a breather and then take stock again, or it's a negative that you couldn't get back on the horse. But I'm pretty happy with the way the team have come back this week. It was a fairly honest review, both from players and coaches, and from that, hopefully we've learned a lot and we can put it into action this Saturday night against the Lions.
Dave, losing Robbie Fruin must be huge, but must be a big plus in his replacement coming back in terms of Nemani Ndolo. Yeah,
Nemani, he's chomping at the bit as well. He's a big man, and I'd hate to have to stop him if I was out there defending on the wing. He can run over a few people. So having him as someone who can take Robbie's place is just great for us. It's unfortunate for Robbie because he was actually in a really good physical and mental space going into the season, and the games he's played pretty well. So it's just unfortunate, one of those sort of the way the ball bounces, so to speak, and he's just suffered an injury which has put him out for a fair bit of the season.
Look, you welcome Dan Carter back into the frame. Of course, I think we're all hopeful we're going to see the best of him, and hopefully he's going to get through the games, which you need to get him some game time. How's he been training? How's he looking?
Start of the week, end of last week when we trained, I don't think I've seen Dan Carter train like that for a number of years. He was stepping players, he was like a young man, ready just to play his first game again. So I think he's also been really frustrated with the way his body hasn't been doing what it should have been doing, but he's ready to play now, and his leg's fine, and he's just really keen to get back out there and test it, but also test his rugby skills again, because he hasn't had an opportunity to do that on a regular basis lately.
Is there a bit of synergy between this year and last year? You were a little bit slow starting last year as well. Do you feel as though it's just a matter of time? You're feeling as though the confidence is starting to build, even though you're not doing the results on the field?
Yeah, it's one of those things. There is a little bit of similarity, but it's not something we try and replicate every year. It just unfortunately happens, and we have tried different things to get different results, but just hasn't eventuated. But I mean, it's not as if it's the baby out with the bathwater, and we know what we're doing is right. We've just got to execute our roles better. And if we do that across the board, then the systems we've got in place will produce the points. We have no doubt about that.
Look, you get 2 weeks between games. Is this the case? Is there a couple of key things, a couple of real focuses you've had, 2 aspects of the game that you know, if we do those things right, the rest of the things will come together?
Yeah, I think the key one is your intent around how you do things. Now, you might make mistakes, but you've got to make sure that you do whatever you're going to do, carry or kick or whatever, with real intent. If you don't do that, then you're going to get sat on your ass at tackle time, and you're going to come second best. So I think that's probably the primary one. Other than that, it's just making sure you execute your role in the plan that we've set for the game this week.
Thanks, Dave. Look, appreciate getting all that inside info. Appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck on the weekend. Well, that's us done for the Tight Five. It's time for us to go back to the couch. And tell you what, he's played for Manu Samoa. He's played for the All Blacks. He's coached the Hurricanes. He's with us, Alama Ieremia. Before we get to that, here's the try of the week. See you after the break.
Inside run, and it's a try! Across for Butts, back in action. Finding his way out of a few tackles. Fred Butts. Ieremia! Alama Ieremia! Super try! Galatini, it's coming! Ieremia, and he gets the second.
That was all his highlights. That's the whole lot. That's what he rang in and said, I want all of these. I want to see me at my best. You remember all of them vividly, don't you? You probably watched them last week, yeah?
I didn't even have to run that far.
He was telling you.
Didn't put the long distance ones in.
Alama, this is a backs only zone. We've left AB over there to take care of things for what he's doing. Hey, look, it's great to have you on the show. You finished up with the Hurricanes at the end of last season. Tell me, what are you doing now?
I'm actually with Samoa,
Yep.
obviously preparing for the World Cup. Went over there as a coach, and then got promoted up to interim high performance manager. So
right, it's a promotion.
I think it's a promotion.
You're not sure yet,
but it's interim.
And so, how are you doing that? You still see your families, I think, in Wellington. Is that right?
Yeah, they're still in Wellington. I'm just commuting up and down. So on my way through to the UK. So obviously popping through into New Zealand, down to see the family, and then back on the road again. So it's good to be back.
So Lama, in Samoa, obviously, there's different challenges in the island rugby game. What are the major ones that you're experiencing at the moment?
That's an intelligent question.
I know. Yeah. Where did they come from?
Yeah, no, it's pretty. I mean, the biggest thing, I suppose, really is going from professional setups down to obviously in the islands, just getting the adjustments right there and getting some alignment and I suppose awareness of where the game needs to head. Obviously, Samoan rugby is most of the players are overseas, so it faces a lot of challenges in terms of communication, staying in touch with their players, and then that's with the top level. But then the development level as well, just looking after the local scene as well. So they really need to get that moving along. So
your hands full, eh?
Very full.
You got your hands full.
Very full.
I mean, there's been challenges off the field as well. We'll get to a bit more about Samoa and Raila below, but we have to talk a little bit about the Hurricanes, because the group of guys that you've worked with for 4 years, and they've found some success this year. They've started well at 3-0. But for you, I mean, what have you noticed when you watch them play?
Oh, I think it's it's a seasoned you know, most of those guys have been together, 11, 12 All Blacks. You got seasoned Super Rugby players now. I've been there 2-3 years. Nehe Milner-Skudder is probably the only sort of young player there, but even along the bench, that's probably one area, Jeff. The other area is they've really got a backbone now. And when I say a backbone, I mean from the type 5, you've got a workaholic and, you know, Thrushy. You've got a 9, 10, 12 combination that is very now mature. So, you know, it is.
I'm
it
glad
is
you
now.
mentioned that word mature, because you know you played in the first game of Super Rugby.
Oh no!
And you scored a try.
Oh no!
Watch this. Look at these. Talk to me about these visions.
Jerseys.
The first ever try. We're talking the first ever try. Super Rugby. The Blues and Hurricanes. Talk me through it.
Yeah, well, there's a gap. There's a gap. Half a gap.
Look at that gas.
Yeah, no. I was pretty stuffed after this.
But this, I mean, this is an exciting time for us as players, wasn't it? Thinking about playing professional rugby.
Yeah, and especially the lead up to this, Jeff, as you would know, the Super Rugby was on the scene, and it was like, you know, it was the next best thing, professional rugby. To be part of this was awesome, and yeah.
It was a different game, wasn't it, though? It was a different game to be a part of?
It was attacking rugby.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, attacking rugby, defence has sort of come into the scene as of late, but you know, it was fun. We threw the ball around, you know, 40-pointers, that sort of game.
Yeah, it was great spectacle for the people who didn't know what pro rugby was going to be all about, and boom, everyone scoring tries.
And what about for you, though, when you're seeing this and you're growing up and you're thinking to yourself, I want to be a part of that, you know, I want to be a professional rugby player, those sort of visions, that was the start of the game, the modern era of football.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think I was working at the bank at the time, and then got the call up for part-time Crusaders because they had injuries, and then that was the end of the line, and that's what I wanted to do.
What was it, Highlanders?
No, then Chiefs, then Highlanders.
That's right. You went around a bit, eh? And then the Canes.
Yeah.
Actually, how do you feel about the Canes? Seeing what they're going through. You had a good chance, though. You spread yourself around. Do you actually know who you support?
Yeah, so I mean, look, I spent the most time with the Highlanders. I suppose that's where my heart was, but the Canes was fun. It was a lot of fun with the boys that they had there, so no, I enjoyed my time there too.
What about your memories of international career? You guys played together a few times. I mean, there was plenty of highlights, there's plenty of opportunities. We'll see some footage here, actually. He was actually in support. You might have wanted to pass it to him every so often to maybe score, but, you know, these times and being a part of it, and as you got the opportunities at the higher level, I mean, how did you deal with it all?
Yeah, no, it was fun in those days. You know, it was a different mentality at that stage. You know, preparation wasn't really up there yet. It was basically you played hard and then you had fun after and all that. You know, so recovery wasn't. But over the years, as you'd see now, I mean, it's a lot different with the fatigue factor in there, and there's so many games now. You just got to make sure. Look, I passed the ball.
Yeah, I did. And you get it back. Look at that.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
I'll tell you what I love there, you see that ball in two hands? Did you see that?
I know. Usually only in one, you should just tuck it straight in, 2-3 cut, back in.
Well, the days when the 2-3 cut, the 1-2 cut, they actually worked. I need to ask you this then. You're seeing what Sir John Kirwan's going through, the challenges he's going through, and you had some of those at the Hurricanes. I'm sure you can empathise. It's not easy when you know you're working hard.
Yeah, it's not, but it is part and parcel of the game, you know. And JK rightly pointed out, at the end of the day, you only can control what you have in front of you. And the main thing is, as you would know, Goldie, is as long as you've got the changing shed, that's the main thing. And when you say the changing shed, it's the respect of the players. Do they believe in what you're doing? And you know, do they believe in the direction that the team's heading? Are they tight? And I suppose you'll see that in the next, and it'll really be about the performance, you know, because it was disappointing last week against the Lions.
Yep.
But the performance against the Hurricanes has to be right up there. I mean, whatever the result is, the performance has to be a lot better than the Lions.
You don't doubt they're trying, though, do you?
Yeah, they're trying, but you know, it's the finishing off and all that. You know, bits
he
and
talked
pieces.
about the 5%. Okay, now you talk about trying. In the last year, it's announced the All Blacks, they're going to Samoa. They're going to play a test in Apia. How big is this for Samoan rugby?
Oh, it's exciting, mate. It's exciting. I've been pretty pumped about the fact that they're coming over, and the country is really, really looking forward to it. And no, we're very excited. A lot of preparation going into it at the moment, and we're still, you know, we're finding challenges around that. But you know, we're very excited. These
are special moments, though, Ala. When you're sitting there, and whether you're in the All Blacks or the Samoan team, these two teams in 2008 going at it. I know in the original test, I was there in 1993. It was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath, and I heard you instigated the haka at the same time. That's what you told me before the show when they get going. But it's something special, isn't it, when you look across there and they're right in front of you, and you know you're in for a battle, Ala.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a pinnacle of any island nation is really to play the All Blacks, especially those that probably had the chance to to have a crack at the All Blacks, but missed out. But then the next best thing is really representing your own, whether you're born or your nationality. And it's just a huge occasion for Samoa, but I think for Pacific Island as a nation.
What can Samoa really get out of this game? Not just is it more than just hosting this Test match?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's for the people as well back home to actually make sure that you know, they get a feel of what the All Blacks are all about. I mean, it's one thing watching them on TV, but to actually go and watch them train and actually, be up in person, it's a massive occasion for the country, and we've got to make sure that we do it right. So it's a big job, and it can't be just the union; it has to be the whole country. And Samoa, they're used to hosting big events. So
don't you palm it off yet. Don't just start giving the whole country. You're coaching the team. Your responsibility. Your responsibility. I'll tell you something else is really interesting. We talk about how the game has changed a little bit earlier on. Last week, Steve Hansen talked about how the defence was starting to dominate the game. We got a tweet at the Breakdown NZ from Malhart talking about how's the game changed over time. What's different about the game now? And what we've done is we've put together a bit of a package here to show you, particularly on the defence and how the forwards are working in these games. Now, this is 1996, the Super Rugby final between the Natal Sharks versus the Auckland Blues. Have a look at this. What are the forwards doing here?
They're all in there, Jeff. They're all just going in, trying to smash each other in what's probably now non-existent in the modern game.
Look at that. I mean, that's not a collapse ball. What is that? Is it? And we see here, backs on backs. What a wonderful game. We all loved that, didn't we?
Yeah, one on defence, yeah.
One on one. Man on, wasn't it?
Man on. Yeah. If you played South Africa, you shifted with the hands. But there was just every breakdown. It was almost like a free-for-all. This is I don't know if we knew what rugby was all about. We didn't recognise this game now, would we?
No, and I think if you have a look at the game now, Jeff, especially this back in those days, it was centred around the ball. It was centred around the ruck. So everybody was ball watching. Defensively, attack-wise, you wouldn't actually identify the space. But later on, the good teams will actually identify.
They're all sort of half of the field. Then we move on in 2001 Super. Remember when you could get gain line like this? This is 2001. Look where the advantage line is. Oh, we'll just wander on over here, take 5 metres now. And remember, this is when the Brumbies were at their peak. This is the way they did. Structured game, Alama came to the fore.
Yeah, structured game. And obviously in those days, you actually won your ball back. You recycled the ball. There wasn't a lot of challenging of the breakdown. Defensively, it was more about waiting for the attack to come to you. But it's changed over the years now. I mean, it's a lot more sophisticated in terms of defence.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work that's gone into that. So
it's funny.
Attack-wise, you have to be a little bit more clued up.
It coincided with when I stopped playing. When the defence got a little bit, we need to get you up in the line. Around the ruck area, I used to cleaning our rucks and getting up. Let's have a look at 2005 now and what was being done then. And this is the Waratahs against the Crusaders. And let's just have a look at the Crusaders. You look at the breakdown, there's the advantage line, getting off the line, but it's the other players, the support players, and watching what they do.
Yes, that's right. Look, heaps of them are starting to fold round, going around the far side, and also guys probably a bit more contesting into that ruck area. It's probably sending in one or two, but the rest are all fanning out and trying to attack the next play.
And not allowing teams to get over the advantage line. That was the big key, wasn't it? It's all coming forward now and not giving the teams an opportunity. If we just watch this next play as it plays on, watch all these players in the middle. There might be numbers on the outside, they forced the kick. And this is when the Crusaders, they initiated their counter-attack game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it was really around the linking of the defensive players around the ruck and the actual back line. So around here now, I mean, you've got players now challenging the ruck.
And this is the Reds at their best, where they were at their best in 2011. And it was the 1+1 theory, Ella, in defence.
Yes, bringing in Bo Robinson at this time, low wrap tackle, then him coming over the board, trying to disrupt it or steal.
And the flat line of defence. So all of a sudden you've got 13 guys on their feet. It means they can take away the advantage line, force them back into areas. And I suppose the double tackle has become so much more as well, hasn't it? The guy assisting, trying to get under the ball.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the whole point of it, is now try and get the ball at the ruck. So what it actually does is it actually puts a pressure on attack. So attack now have to be very intelligent. What forms of attack do you do? Do you actually run the ball? Do you kick the ball? Do you actually recycle in different ways? So, it's fascinating to actually watch attack these days in terms of how is that actually tailored towards the defence? Because that's what's really important. And the example of the Blues, opportunities are presented in front of you. You've got to have good enough players to identify that on the run.
And interestingly enough, we look at the performance from the Highlanders against the Chiefs on Friday night, and we saw it even a little bit from the Lions. But if you look at the Highlanders here, they just don't commit anyone to the breakdowns. I mean, is that something that you agree with, or is this just the fact? What's the theory here? What are they trying to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like the way the actual Highlanders have used this, because technically there is no ruck, there is no offside line, so some of those players could actually come right across the line. So you saw with the Cheetahs a few years ago, they actually employed that, and it really keeps the referees honest as well. They've got to make sure that they're actually onto it, because we're talking about the law here around the ruck, which is, it affects the whole defensive line.
Yeah.
Compare that to the old days, it's a different game now.
And you take into account as well, Ale, you take into account the strength, the fitness, the power of the players. They go for 80 minutes now, so it has changed. The fact there seems to be less space. So is Steve Hansen right? Is there a danger of the game getting a little bit boring? Is there a danger of the game being predictable?
Oh, well, definitely, especially what Lama just said then. If the attack are not intelligent enough to work out the defence, and that's what's going to happen. The attack is going to be a dominated game by defence, who will dominate the attack every time. So
yeah, because is that why the All Blacks are so good? Because our attack is just that little bit better.
Yeah, I think not only that, Jeff, is the forward play these days. I mean, Anthony is sitting over there. I mean, he can now probably tackle backs like in the old days. Forwards, respectfully, it's a little bit different now. Yeah. Fitness levels are right up there. You've got level 19 forwards, you've got level 18. Yeah. In the old days, it would be a little bit different. So it's a lot more. Yeah, we were in the 13s. So everyone's a lot fitter. Yeah. And so it's a lot more powerful, it's a lot more faster, fitter. So that is the way the game's going.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on the show. Absolute pleasure to get the insight. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing how you do with that Samoan crew. Well, I'll tell you what we've decided to do here at the Breakdown. We've decided to put together, I suppose, not so much a competition, but you can give us a hand on Twitter at the Breakdown NZ. And we're deciding the best New Zealand players in Super Rugby in their position. And we thought we'd do the first one for you. This was an easy one. We all played with them.
I hope it wasn't
15.
You. It wasn't you?
It wasn't me.
Yes.
At 15. Christian Cullen.
And now Christian Cullen has a little look-see, back himself at pace with Cullen, and he's got to get over. Nowhere to go, but he's found some space. Lovely dives out from Christian Cullen. Christian Cullen, this is the magic of a world-class fullback.
Cullen, absolutely brilliant. To Basham, Cullen coming in. Cullen clear. Umaga looking to get with him. Cullen, down he goes. He's got to try and recover, and he does.
Yeah, Cullen back the open side. He's trouble. He's almost there. He is. Was he held up? Number 15. Try is awarded to Christian Cullen. Cullen wants it right. Basham. Cullen now has it. He has the pace, he's there! Oh, beautiful try there to Christian Cullen. Here's Cullen, bit of room here. He's through! What a bust here by Christian Cullen. Plenty of support, and what a dummy! Absolutely magnificent! Length of the field stuff. What a talent! Sensational individual performance. You won't see better than that.
Yeah, I used to watch the Canes back when I was younger, Central Vikings. Big Christian Cullen fan. Yeah, used to love watching him play, and he was cutting up backlines and teams and scoring some pretty unreal tries.
Plenty of support, and what a dummy! Absolutely magnificent!
Playing ITM for a wee while now, is good to finally get a crack and experience the next level, and it has been a pretty big step up in terms of like the training load and just being around in this environment with all the superstars that are here and rubbing shoulders with them and learning off them has definitely helped my game go to another level. A lot of guys are heading off after this year, so I think that probably adds to it a lot more, knowing that they're going off, and the likes of Snakey, who's just been a stalwart in the things he's done for this province and the franchise. So I think everyone wants to send him off, and the other boys that are heading off as well, send them off on a high with a pretty quality performance this season that yeah, we can all be proud of. I just play what's in front of me, like to have a go, probably having a bit of touch background. I like to use my feet and agility and yeah, a bit of flair and just have a crack.
come the Canes. Is this? It is. It's a little whip at Naheem Milner-Skudder, who has got some game. So does this fella, Sevilla. Get out of the way! Says King Julian. The Canes have the bonus point try.
Yeah, I don't know who else could finish off a try like that from about 50 out, and bunt guys like that. I was pretty lucky that he was outside of me and watching do his thing. Yeah, Palmy's home and the Boneyard, love playing there, playing at FMG, and to be out there with the boys again, be pretty crazy. And 20 years on from the first game there, be a big occasion and awesome to be a part of.
The Boneyard, Palmerston North build-up starts at 7 o'clock. Big matchup for both sides. Of course, the Hurricanes trying to stay undefeated. Naheem Milner-Skudder, very, very good for Manawatu last year. A lot of comparisons, Ala, to Christian Cullen. Is this guy, is he possibly an All Black in waiting?
Mate, he's definitely got the skill set to be up there for an All Blacks. Obviously, he's come through the ITM ranks really well. His next step is definitely the Super Rugby, so if he starts to dominate in that, he's definitely got the potential to do it. But he needs to dominate this competition, and then
he looked up to the right guy, though.
Oh, definitely.
Man, when you see that footage of Callier, you're going at it. And there are elements of his game, that ability to just glide into holes. This matchup, we know it's huge. We know it's big for both sides, given where they're at. I mean, the Hurricanes, on the back of the bye, they've got to come in and play well. But is there a matchup that you're looking forward to, particularly in this game, AB?
I always dreamed of being a number 8, so I'm going to say the battle between...
and that stayed a dream. You spent a bit of time at 6.
JB2, Kumu and JB1 right. At the time, but probably the battle between Vito and Luatua. Right. Obviously, Jerome's out, so Luatua's coming into perhaps an unfamiliar position. Arguably, those guys are fighting for that All Black spot, that utility backup loose forward role. So they both possess, quite similar skill sets. Good at line out, good with the ball and contact and at ruck time. So it's going to be an interesting battle. I think Vito's done very well to get back into some form last year, and Luatua perhaps hasn't quite got back to the form he was in when he first made the All Blacks. So they've both got a lot to play for. It'll be a good battle.
When you think about where Stephen Luatua's got to in the last sort of 12, 18 months, given the fact he had a booming first season, he's struggled to find that little bit of extra form. What do you think that's down to? And does he need to change his game slightly?
Yeah, it's tough to say because I've watched him a few times and his game hasn't changed too drastically, but I don't know whether the Kino factor coming back have kind of set him down a bit rather than taking the challenge. But he'll have to try and figure out soon because, like you said, Victor Vito is definitely on the fly and really chasing that jersey.
That's one matchup. All the talk has been about we think Charles Piutau can possibly pay 13. Well, he's going to find out, isn't he?
He's definitely going to find out
because he's up against the best in Conrad Smith.
That's right, and I mean, Piutau's definitely got the skill set, but against Conrad Smith, experienced, he'll definitely get tested in seeing whether he can match it up at centre.
Yeah, how's he going to be tested? What aspects of his game, though, does he need to add to it? Because we know his ball carrying, we know he's going to get his metres, his ability to fight. What else?
Well, definitely now he's got to understand that he's the centre. He's got to be shifting ball out and putting his wingers, his fullbacks outside, probably in defence, making good decisions that he's working in tight with his outsides and his insides. So he's got to start leading in that particular area like Conrad Smith does.
It's hard, though, when you're instinct. When you're a player like him, who's played at fullback, where you get the opportunity to run with the ball, and you get the opportunity when you're on the wing, where you get quite often, as I like to say, you get on the outside and you get the licence to have a bit of a go. All right, let's move on now to the Crusaders and the Lions. This is really interesting for me because we know what the Lions did to the Blues. They suffocated them, they forced them into errors, they held them up over the line, they scrummed them into the ground, but the Crusaders welcome back some big guns. Is it a case where you see, even though they haven't played together, this combination, they should come in, and the Lions have won their game. Maybe, thinking we've won our game. We've probably had a good night in Auckland celebrating. Are you expecting, though, the Crusaders to come out and dominate?
I am. I mean, they're not going to take them lightly, as Dave said. And with those three big guns coming back, you've got Carter as well. So, it's hard to really go past thinking the Crusaders are going to roll them. But, they're going to have to really front up. You saw those Lions' defence, be a little bit more inventive with their attack, perhaps, and really put them under pressure.
Dan Carter is back. Unfortunately, we're just not getting to see the best of him due to injury. As much as it's important how well he plays, it's more the fact he can get through the minutes, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think everyone's just keen for him to get through 80 minutes. That was most of the comments coming through when he got injured again, and it was just about, is this guy past it, or is it all over? His body can't hold on. So I think everyone's just looking forward, and I just want to see him just enjoy it, get back in there and enjoy it with his boys, and especially with the guys that are getting back. So
Dave Hewitt said it. He said he's never seen Dan Carter, well, not for a while anyway, at training, absolutely looking sharp, beating players, sidestepping. Mate, just run straight. Save it for the game. Save it for the game. All right, the other one, another matchup we've got is down in Dunedin, and that's between the Highlanders and the Waratahs. Really interesting matchup for me. You're talking about the defending champions, the Waratahs, who haven't been that convincing for me, and then you're talking about the Highlanders, who've then gone into Hamilton and beaten the Chiefs. There's one player in particular, though, out of the Highlanders I want to talk about, and it's Elliot Dixon. Traditionally a 8-6, more than a 7. He goes at 7, goes up against Sam Cane. Not a bad player. Sam Cane does well. Elliot Dixon, is it a long-term future for him?
Well, it could be. Actually, was quite surprised. I thought they'd made a mistake with the number they put on his back. It was probably the biggest 7 we've ever seen out on the field.
Yeah.
But
good athlete, though.
Yeah, great athlete. I really like what he does. Very abrasive player. He's just into everything. His physicality. So yeah, there is a future there. But obviously, this week coming up, marking a pretty good player.
It'll be hard too to keep out Shane Christie, John Hardy, familiar sevens, but he's up against Michael Hooper. He's not bad either. It doesn't get any easier for him. Here he is, a special player. He leads the Wallabies. And more importantly, it's almost his inspiration about the way he plays the game.
Oh, that's what I love about him. He just plays right on the edge. He ball runs, he tackles everything in his way. And I think he does really drive a lot of energy in that Waratah side. And to think that he's only 23 and still striving for it. And he's always quite pumped. So it really kind of just flows through his team.
Who you got? Who have you got, huh? Who have you got in this game?
Mate, my heart has to go the Highlanders.
Your heart doesn't need to worry, your head as well.
Yeah, but my heart for this week is going to go the Highlanders.
They love playing in that state. Don't think you can turn away and get away with this.
I agree with that. Highlanders at home.
Okay, the Highlanders at home. Well, we heard from Dave Rennie, and he talked about scrumming. He's going to play the Stormers in Cape Town. But the Stormers have been very, very good. Probably not the ideal situation for them. There it is, 1:55 a.m. in the morning. Jemai Sky, if you're not prepared to get up for it. But we saw Aaron Cruden give away the kicking tee. Do you expect him to give it away again?
No, I think Aaron Cruden will definitely step up. He'll step up for it. He loves a challenge, and I'm sure this weekend's going to be the one for him, especially against the Stormers side that are going pretty good.
And with the Chiefs, and you sit there and you're going along and you're playing well, and Aaron Cruden, his game management is still as good as ever, and that's probably just as important, isn't it, when they come up against the Stormers team. Big Skulkberger will be there, their forward pack, their line-out's very, very good. I said their scrum will be good. For Aaron Cruden, is it a matter of, don't worry about the goal kicking as much, we just need you to drive our game?
Yeah, just get back to doing what he does naturally. He sort of had a few, apart from the kicking there, as a missed pass and a couple of missed tackles that kind of put him off a wee bit. So I'm sure he's professional enough to get back out there, and he's played enough rugby to know to do the job on a big occasion like it's going to be.
Not just him though. Do you expect the team to bounce back after that loss?
They will, no doubt. Obviously, it's going to be hugely tough in Newlands. I don't know if they're going to be good enough against the Stormers, who are undefeated over there.
Wow, so you're going Stormers?
Yep.
You've played for everyone bar the Blues. I mean, how do you sit here? You can't pick anyone. I've got loyalty to that team. I've got loyalty to that team.
I'll go the Chiefs. I think they'll bounce. I'll go the Chiefs.
You're going to go the Chiefs this time? Well done. Well done. I mean, it must have been hard. I didn't ask you. Blues or Hurricanes? Quickly.
Blues.
Oh, Blues. Oh, wow. They're going to come back there. All right, let's think about the other games. The Force and the Rebels, they're going to go... Well, we're going to watch this one, aren't we? With excitement. This is two teams. There'll be bonus points.
My Sky.
Bonus points on these. If we look at these two sides, last year the Force, they were a surprise team. The Rebels, they've got some new recruits, but for both these teams, they'll look as this as a must-win, AB.
They have to. I just can't really see the Force winning based on current form. I think the Rebels will be too good and take that one out.
Reds at home to the Brumbies. Yeah. Reds, very unconvincing. They've been hot and cold. The Brumbies, however, we know that they're going to be part of the picture later on. You get that sense, because everyone knows it's a struggle to go to play in Canberra. But can the Reds get any better? And have they got any options, Ella? Or is it just, what can they try and grind out a win? Where does it happen?
Yeah, look, I'm going Brumbies all the way. And I think it's good to actually see Will coming back with playing, and it looks like he's enjoying it again. But in terms of the actual whole team, I think they're just not really there.
They're missing Quade Cooper. They're missing Quade Cooper. Cheetahs, Sharks, both teams off losses in the weekend. I was surprised at the Bulls did a number on the Cheetahs. The Cheetahs were at home in Bloemfontein. The Sharks, they lost to the Stormers. So Cheetahs and Sharks, you know, we know the Cheetahs, the way they like to play. Are the Sharks just going to try and rumble?
They will, but where's that being played? That's going to be a factor for me.
That's at Cheetahs. That's at Blom.
I'm going to go Cheetahs.
You just go on the home team?
Yeah, no, not necessarily the home team. I just like what I saw from them, and you know, obviously against the Blues, and then they had a loss against the Bulls last week, but they came back into it after being down quite a lot. So they'll be tough at home for the Sharks.
Back three. The big three questions we want answered this weekend. Peter Alatini, what do you want to know?
Can the Highlanders make it 2 big scalps in a row?
Really?
I say yes.
You say yes. I say yes. AB?
I want to know the same thing about the Lions. Has their newfound confidence propelled them to maybe get 2 wins on New Zealand soil?
My one is, can the Blues cause a mammoth upset? Can what John Kirwan's been talking about, can he create the environment, get them prepared to play against a Hurricane side? That's the way I'm looking at it. I think for us, 3 big questions last week. It was interesting. We got our questions answered. It was a bit of a surprise. Hey, look, it's been great to have you guys on the show. It's been fantastic. We had Lama Iramia on the show. He wasn't bad, was he?
It's not too bad, eh?
Not too bad?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep on some more.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on it. Look, make sure you join us on Twitter as well. Post the show. Okay, we're going to be on, all 3 of us. We'll get him, Alama as well. You put the questions through so we can sit there and we can analyse, look at the game. We'll stay on at the Breakdown NZ and make sure that you give us all the questions that you want answered, because I have no doubts for me that it's going to be a difficult weekend to pick. Thank you very much, Alama, Peter, AB. We'll see you next week.